Good morning and welcome to Unfiltered Vision News, bringing you the news unfiltered Monday through Friday. Thank you guys so much for joining me this morning for Tell It All Tuesday. And with that, let's get into honoring God with our body. And God, please guard our mind and our thoughts. God, help me to fix my thoughts on what is true and honorable and right and pure and lovely and admirable, so I will think about things that are excellent and worthy of praise. God, please protect our ears and help us listen to your voice. God, help me to be quick to listen, slow to speak, and slow to become angry. God, please protect our eyes from sin's damage. God, I make a covenant with my eyes not to look lustfully. God, please speak life over my mouth. God, set a guard over my mouth. Lord, keep watch over the doors of my lips. God, please help our hands to serve generously. God, help me to do good to everyone, and especially to those who belong to our family in the faith. God, please protect my reproductive organs and help me to honor you, God, with purity. God, help me to honor you with my body. And God, please protect our feet as we walk along your path. God, let your word be a lamp for my feet and a light on my path. And if this is the first time you are joining us here on Unfiltered Vision News, that is something that we definitely try to see daily to set our hearts and our minds right for the day. So again, thank you for joining us. We do have a special guest for fantasy football. Before we do that, we're going to get into trending topics on X really quick. Let's see. Bring it up. Okay, so a Danish researcher, Paul Thorsen, to plead guilty in a CDC grant fraud case. So sad. Minnesota Democrats reject full removal of deceased voters from rolls. Wait a minute, let me read that again. Minnesota Democrats, they reject full removal of deceased voters. Like, if people are no longer with us, they should not be on the voter rolls. Like, what are we doing? So we got to look into that. And then the second Michigan clerk requests federal aid to check voter rolls for non-citizens. Okay, all right, let's see what we got. So this guilty plea. So apparently, Paul Thorsen, a researcher whose work was used to reassure millions of parents that vaccines do not cause autism, is expected to plead the scientific foundation used to dismiss concerns about a possible connection. He was later accused by federal prosecutors of stealing more than $1 million in CDC grant money intended for research, using fabricated documents and fraudulent invoices to divert the funds for his own use. So for years, we've been told not to question the science on vaccines and autism. We were told the evidence was overwhelming and the people conducting the research could be trusted. And the only thing that really bothers me is people would shut it down, right? They'd be like, there's no connection, but they never backed it up with any research. They never backed it up with any actual evidence and documentation. We were all just supposed to believe them and move along. So, very interesting. Now, for this next one, what is going on? So, Minnesota Democrats vote to not remove deceased people from the voter rolls. Wow, this should tell you everything you need to know. They need these dead voters to take fake votes. This is weird. Like, there are just some states that are just weird. Like, what? You're supposed to have clean voter rolls because we know people move and people pass away. Now, the thing about moving is people, and I'm going to have to go over this on a show, but when you move to another state, you actually have to remove yourself from their voter rolls. It's not their responsibility. So you could have moved someplace maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and you might very well be still on their voting roll and not know it. And they have no obligation to tell you. It is your responsibility to remove yourself. Sounds crazy, right? It is what it is. It is insane. And good morning, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. But let's check this out.
11. I recognize a member from Olmsted, Representative Quam.
Wait a minute. You guys are not going to be able to hear that. Hold on. Got to change the speakers. Oh, there it is. There it is. All right. I was like, wait a minute. I know if I can hear it, you guys can't hear it. We've done that before.
11. I recognize the member from Olmsted, Representative Quam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. This is just to require the full removal of deceased people from the voters' rolls. And before you ask, well, nobody deceased is voting. The federal system at SSA has checked registrations and have flagged deceased people registering in the state of Minnesota. It's not a huge thing, but let's take care of it by cleaning up the roll. Oregon is doing it and other states are doing it, so it's not an unusual thing to do. Let's just vote green.
11. I recognize the member from Olmsted, Representative Quam.
Wow. Other states are doing it. It's weird. This is a basic auditing process, and it is up to each city and county to make sure the voter rolls are clean, because this stuff rolls up to the state, right? To the Secretary of State, who works with these cities and counties to make sure that our elections are being conducted properly. Who gave y'all these jobs? It's just really mind-boggling. Okay. So, a second Michigan clerk requests federal aid to check voter rolls for non-citizens. So apparently, let's just see what's going on here.
Hello, my name is Sarah Bohr, clerk of Finance Township in Kalamazoo County, Michigan. Today, I'm joining with other clerks across the state of Michigan, calling for federal assistance to verify the citizenship status of those on our voter rolls. Under MCL 168.515 and MCL 168.520. I'm asking for this to be done legally in my office to ensure that the voter files are protected under Michigan law. Recently, a whistleblower was employed in the Secretary of State's office came forward alleging that the Secretary of State is registering non-citizens to vote. Contrary to what the supervisor of that employee told them, local clerks have zero ability to verify the citizenship status of anyone in the qualified voter files. So I am asking for federal assistance to do my duty as a local clerk to ensure that those who are registered to vote are also legal citizens. Absentee ballots go out on September 24th. Time is running short. So I look forward to hearing from someone and working with someone from the federal government very shortly.
Yeah. Yeah. This is just so sad that this is even happening. My goodness. Okay, let's move on to all sides. So a report finds traces of military insider trading on Poly Market. But are you shocked? That's all I'm saying. A lot of times I'm seeing these things, was Poly Market and all these betting, you can wage it. I'm like, I'm sorry. I see it and I'm like, yeah, this is somebody knows the information. They're waiting for us to participate so they can make more money. The whole thing is weird. They should get rid of it because it's not real gambling. None of it's really real. I mean, games can be thrown from football, basketball, and we've already seen that, right? That was a whole scandal last fall. And what happened to that, by the way? It like came and went and everybody was like, and nothing's been said since. We're not opening up with that going into this coming up football season. Nobody said anything during basketball season, did they? Yeah. So we'll see. Abortion expansion in New Jersey prompts concerns about prayer comparisons to gun legislation. What? None of that makes sense. So I'll just read some of these highlights. So New Jersey law lets abortion patients sue sidewalk counselors. Okay. And then that's on the right. And then on the left, did New Jersey make it illegal to pray outside abortion clinics? Here's what the new law really does. And that's from the left. And then on the right again, usually we'll get a center opinion. I guess the center, they just decided to tap out on this one because that's really crazy. But I know overseas, there were people that were arrested for silently praying. They were just out there, just standing there, silently praying, arrested. Yeah, that. So is that what we're doing? Is that where we're at? New Jersey? Iran allegedly targets Barron Trump with 10 million bounty, threatens assassination in media campaign. Unfortunately, being a part of a family like that, yeah, you're going to be opened up to some craziness going on. And it's really tragic and it's really sad because he's a child. He is not in politics at that level, right? Yeah, he might be speaking at some events with his dad, but he's not 21 yet. Really? Okay. You're just making yourself look like really interesting people. Let's see some other headlines. Does Lindsay Clancy deserve sympathy for her mental health and actions? Now that is referring to the mother, unfortunately, that suffered postpartum, as they were stating, and she unlived her children. Now the question becomes, was she really under that psychosis? And if so, what more is being done about it? I grew up hearing horror stories of women putting their children in ovens, right? Back in the 70s and 80s, before they even started even calling it postpartum. I don't even think they started addressing it till like maybe the 80s. So there's still a lot more research that needs to be done, and definitely testing to see about people's mental health, especially when it comes to pregnancy. It happened to me. I just remember my second daughter, I was crying in the spaghetti and I was like, at the time, the person I was married to was like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "I'm fine. I don't know why I'm crying in the spaghetti right now." Like it was the weirdest feeling. Okay. But I mean, I'm grateful I got through it, but your hormones are just all over the place. And sometimes you just do things and you're just like, what is this? This is just really, really weird. Zelensky faces call for elections from fired defense minister, says they would destroy Ukraine. I don't think he has any intention of stepping down. U.S.-Canada trade negotiations fail. Canada to levy retaliatory tariffs. You figure it out. Trump moves to cut beef prices with import tariff waiver. And this is like the whole Argentinian thing. But we have enough problems over here. But guess what? Remember the lady that I interviewed, I want to say earlier this year? Her name is Casey. I'm hoping to get her back on the show so she can talk about how there are beef and cattle ranchers that are direct from the ranch to table. And those are the individuals that we need to work with as a country to start getting our meat, if that's what you do. I don't eat as much meat. I do every once in a while, but I'm just saying we need to start building our own systems and stop whining about the ones that don't work. That's all I'm saying. It's going to take all of us. Yes, but can we do it? Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Now with that, we're going to get into our next segment and bring up Dion, the fantasy football guy. Good morning. How are you?
Welcome to the Fantasy Dude, coming live from the living room where we talk the fantasy talk and we walk the fantasy walk in hopes we educate, enlighten, and enhance your NFL experience through fantasy. I'm Dion, the Fantasy Dude, and we're going to get into it today. All right, first of all, let's understand what we're talking about. What is fantasy football? Fantasy football is a virtual game where you act as a general manager for an imaginary team of very real NFL players, and their real life statistical output translates into real points for your team. You don't have to be an NFL fan to go and play fantasy football, but it helps. You join a league, usually about 10 to 12 teams. Your league manager will schedule a draft where you and your other league mates will take turns drafting real NFL players that you want. Your roster usually consists of one quarterback, two running backs, two wide receivers, a tight end, a kicker, a defense, and various extra players for your bench. Every week, you choose the players that you want to put into your active starting lineup, and their statistical output results in points for your team. Most leagues will have a head-to-head format where you're playing against another player doing the same thing you're doing, and whichever one of you winds up scoring the highest points for that week wins. Sound simple? All right. Now, I do have a few fantasy football tips, and remember, these are my recommendations. Do whatever works for you, your gut, and your team. All right, first of all, number one, know your league scoring format. Most leagues have standard scoring formats set up for them, but sometimes leagues will be customized. For example, in the league that I'm in, we emphasize yardage bonuses. So you get extra yards or extra points, when your players hit 100 yards, 150 yards, or 200-yard games. This matters because a wide receiver who might get 3 catches for 100 yards will be more valuable than a receiver who might get 8 catches for 50 yards. So, but other leagues may give you points for every catch, or some leagues may give you no bonuses at all. You just need to go and check your league scoring format and know what that is. And there's some other leagues called like Superflex leagues. These are leagues that you can go and start 2 quarterbacks each week, and these are different animals altogether. If you're in one of these leagues, everything I'm saying is not going to be for you. So these tips I'm going to be giving out are going to be for standard leagues. Be prepared. No, I'm sorry. Tip number 2, be prepared for your draft. Practice a couple drafts and everything before just to get comfortable with your system. Have a general plan of what you want to go ahead and do, and be prepared to go ahead and adjust during the actual draft. Fantasy players will have preset rankings in the system and all that. These are just suggestions on where the system believes that they should be drafted. You can go with that recommendation, or you can go with your gut. You can draft whoever you want. Real-time drafts can get a little bit funny because people can be wild. And the player you might want might get drafted before you get a chance to get him. Or a player you didn't think you'd be able to get might go ahead and fall to you, and you might get a chance to get him. Or maybe during the draft, you see people all of a sudden all start drafting quarterback after quarterback after quarterback, and you feel pressure to go and change your plans and just go off script and draft a quarterback before you're ready to get one. You might pass on somebody else. Just remember, stay focused, trust yourself, and trust your plan. Tip number 3, don't be a homer. I love the Cincinnati Bengals, surprise, surprise, but I'm not going to go out drafting all Bengals from my team. Actually, maybe I should though. Anyway, I'm drafting the best available players to fill out my roster, whoever that player may be, or whatever team they might be on. Tip number 4, be prepared for injuries. Injuries are going to happen. When you draft, have a backup plan in case they happen to your team. I suggest at least having 1 backup running back, at least 1 backup wide receiver for your roster. Now, backup quarterbacks, tight ends, kickers, and defenses, that'll be up to you. Some people go through whole seasons without having any backups at those positions, and I get it. For example, if my quarterback is Josh Allen from Buffalo, I probably am never going to use another quarterback or start another quarterback all season besides him. So why am I going to draft another one? So I could go ahead and take a risk having just 1 quarterback on my team. But yes, this is a risk. Do whatever works for you. During the season, you will have opportunity to go and pick up any undrafted players that are going to be available on your league waiver wire. Tip number 5, be prepared for the bye weeks. Now, bye weeks are going to happen too, obviously. Now, I do not recommend worrying about the bye weeks while you're doing the process of doing your draft. Don't worry about that. That's too much stress. Just draft the best available players for your team that fills your team needs. During the season, you will have the opportunity to pick up or drop any undrafted players that are on your league's waiver wire. You can risk leaving a position empty when you go ahead and go to play that week, but understand that that's a risk because you won't get any points from that from any empty position. But I've seen some people do it, and they have teams where they don't want to drop anybody from their teams, and they'll take that risk. Hey, more power to them. You do what works for you and your gut and your team. And the very last tip is to relax. Have fun. In the end, this is what this is all about. Part of the beauty of fantasy football is it gets you invested in all the NFL teams. You might not even like the Jets. You might not be a New York Jets fan, and they might be catching the beat down 35-13. But you might have the New York Jet running back on your fantasy team, and he might have 80 yards running, a touchdown, 5 catches for 50 more yards, and all of that production helps your fantasy team win the week. So you find yourself tuning into a Jets game just to check out him and see what he's going to do. All right, that was just the down and dirty on the NFL fantasy tips and all that stuff just to get started and all that. Next week, we're going to hit on some more pre-draft tips, some strategy, some trends, and what we're seeing on the NFL landscape before the season kickoff on September the 9th. I hope you all enjoyed this. Hope we get to see you go and step out, get into a fantasy league, ultimately claim those fantasy championships. Stay up, stay strong, and stay blessed.
Let me talk. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on Unfiltered Vision News. And we're looking forward to next week just to, really see and check out what's happening in fantasy football. And I am a part of the league too, just by the way, full disclosure. And it is a lot of fun. So thank you so much for joining us this morning. And we're looking forward to next week. All right. Thank you guys again for joining us. Let me see. So let's see, Spud had a comment. He says, so you're telling me to draft Chase Brown over Gibbs? Just kidding. Great advice and tips. Thank you so much. I'm glad that you guys are going to do it because I do like sports. I like basketball. I like football. And I know last year I did incorporate a little bit of that at the beginning of the year. And the person that was doing the sports, unfortunately, they weren't able to do it. And it was too far into the season. And Dion is actually my husband. And he's like, okay, well, maybe we can do it next season. So here we are. So I'm really grateful. And that's going to be on our Tuesday. So that'll be a regular update. And I think you guys will have a lot of fun with it, just like I am. Now, what I want to get back into, we've got some more news to cover. This whole Supreme Court hearing that's recently happened with what's happening with voting with Trump.
Ruling tied to mail-in ballots could impact our elections.
The court cleared the way for the Trump administration to move forward with parts of its plan to change how the federal government handles mail voting. 12 News journalist Kyle Simchuk is joining us live in Phoenix. And Kyle, what does today's ruling mean for how people can vote this upcoming November?
Yeah, Caribe. Basically, Secretary of State Adrian Fontes is reassuring voters tonight that nothing has changed in those early mail-in ballots. They'll be mailed out 44 days from now. If you plan to vote by mail this November, Arizona Secretary of State Adrian Fontes says you can keep those plans. That's because today's Supreme Court ruling does not change how Arizona voters cast their mail-in ballots.
At this particular moment, nothing has changed. That's the easy answer. The harder answer is a little more convoluted because of the legal back and forth here. But like the vast majority of our voters in Arizona, if you're voting by mail, nothing changes because of this particular ruling.
But there's a bigger fight going on. It's about who gets to make the rules for mail voting. President Trump wants the federal government to have a bigger say. His plan would have the Department of Homeland Security make lists of who can legally vote. It would also have the Postal Service make new rules for mail ballots. The president says it's about keeping elections safe and making sure only citizens vote. But some states disagree. Fontes says the president does not have the power to tell states how to run their elections and worries a federal list could be inaccurate.
The Department of Homeland Security's data is notoriously bad. And we've seen lots and lots of citizens, in fact, more citizens potentially losing their rights.
But here's why it's notoriously bad, because the systems don't talk to one another. That's why it's notoriously bad. Let's keep that 100.
Right to vote, then there are non-citizen voters. And that's really problematic, particularly for folks like me who want as many of our eligible citizens to vote as possible.
The Supreme Court did not say if President Trump's executive order is legal. Instead, it said the 23 states that challenged the order, including Arizona, did so too soon, allowing part of the administration's plan to move forward. That means Homeland Security can start building its citizenship list, but the part that would let the Postal Service withhold ballots is still blocked by a separate court order. For now, Arizona election officials are moving forward with the election process, with early voting beginning in just 6 weeks.
Well, my message for Arizona voters is very simple. If you vote by mail, as long as I'm the Secretary of State, you will continue to vote by mail. Today's ruling changes nothing.
And Attorney General Chris Mays says she will continue to fight this executive order. We're live outside the state capitol tonight.
Y'all are wild. Okay, first of all, what DHS does have access to that a lot of people fail to realize is they actually have access to immigration information. So they know who citizens are and who citizens are not. Yeah, there's that part. There's that part. If you are here legally, now let's just say you are here as a legal permanent resident. You can't vote. Okay? Legal permanent residency is not naturalization. Unless you are naturalized, you can't vote. So you can be here on a visa, green card. You could be going to college here on a visa. You, again, legal permanent residency. Those 4 classifications cannot vote. Dead people definitely can't vote. But those 4 classifications cannot vote. Okay? So if you're definitely here undocumented, you can't vote. Now, see, in Los Angeles right now, those 4 classifications that I just mentioned, they're trying to make it so where those individuals can. And that is overriding federal immigration policy, which they can't do. Yes, the states do handle their elections. They don't handle immigration policy. We're having 2 different conversations. And the reason why a lot of these states don't want to give up those roles is because they are afraid and terrified of what they would probably find, because they're not doing audits. They're not cleaning their voter rolls. You just saw the video from Minnesota. It's bad. All right, now we're going to check out a little bit from Aaron Brockovich.
Without water, and they can't now drink their water.
Now, what does a data center do in terms of the environmental drag on a community?
So what they're reporting is, this is not just a few towns here or there, it's just everybody has the same report. During the construction phase, these are not small facilities. They're 2,200 acres. They're 3,000 acres. They're 4,000 acres. And the first thing that they get extremely upset about is the destruction of the land. You're talking rural land. So all the trees, all the vegetation, all the farmland, all goes away. It's disruptive to their sanctuary. It's disruptive to the wildlife. People are definitely reporting changes in the wildlife, the absence of wildlife, dead wildlife, and they find that very concerning. And in the construction phase, wells can often get damaged. The construction, for people that are there, will tell you it's almost violent. You can feel the ground shaking, so all your water can get very turbid. People have lost their well pressure. Their wells have been damaged. They're having to deal for deeper wells. And the gentleman that I reported on, Austin Newsom is his name, and he's in a litigation, but his house is unlivable at this point because now the water, you can't drink the water, you can't bathe the water water pressure's too low. He's got young children and they just can't. I mean, people now reporting their utility bills that used to be, a water bill that was $30 is now almost $300.
Why is it going up so fast?
Because of all the energy that has to be required to build these huge data centers. And
So the locals are paying the bill.
Correct.
Yeah. And they keep telling people, oh, you're not going to have to pay the bill. Don't worry. This company's going to pay it. Okay. My question would be, how are they intending to pay it? What is their business model? What is their business model? Nobody seems to ask the question about the data centers. They're just like, yeah, these data centers. What is their business model? What are they doing? Now, they are there for companies like Amazon and Google, Meta, which is Facebook. Okay, they're there for those different companies. But what is the business model for the data center? Not those companies, the data center itself. What does it make? What does it produce? And how does it benefit the citizens in the cities and the counties where it is positioned? It doesn't. It takes. It does not contribute. And who ends up paying for the data centers at the end of this? It'll be the citizens. They keep saying, no, it's not. It's not. Then where are you getting your money from? You keep saying this is about AI. Well, most of the AIs that are out there that aren't free are subscription based. So yes, you do need humans because that's your product. Your product is a subscription. But even worse than that, people's taxes are raised. They can't use the water. It's destroying the environment, but you don't really care. It's interesting. And where are the tree huggers on this? I'm just saying. Like, where are you? Like, now's the time to crash out. Climate activists, where y'all at? Why isn't anybody like laying in front of the bulldozers? Huh? Yeah. That's why I'm like, it's fake outrage. I don't want to hear it. Fake outrage when, the climate activists are like crashing out. Crash out over the data centers and make it stop. And the data centers, we have over 4,000 of these things, actually 4,300, over 4,300 data centers currently right now, built, functioning all over the United States. Why do we need any more? Like right now, we have a moratorium where I live, thank goodness. But how long will that last? Is the question, right? So I want to thank you guys for joining me here on Unfiltered Vision News for Tell It All Tuesday. We will be back tomorrow with Women in Wellness Wednesday. So again, thank you guys for joining. And remember, stay well, stay focused, and stay unfiltered. We'll see you in the next one.